Bryan Cranston, Dana.
Bryan Cranston.
I'm a big fan of Bryan Cranston, and I don't really run into him out there in the world, and most of these people usually kind of bump into here and there, but maybe they were doing Malcolm in the Middle on CBS Radford a lot when I was doing Just Shoot Me. It feels like it's synced up around the same time.
Yeah.
Super cool, super light on his feet, always is laughing, doesn't take it too seriously for being a really good dramatic actor and comedic actor.
No, he doesn't take it seriously at all. And you try to pay him a compliment. He's very, very humble about it. I'm not sure he can really grasp how great he is, but it's hard to not gush a little bit because he was so brilliant in Breaking Bad. And I think it's a quintessential show. Just someone really fun to hang out with, had a great sense of humor, told us all about his adventure trying to be a stand-up comedian for a full year. Yeah. And that's a very interesting story. And where he came from and how he started in a soap opera in New York. And
when Malcolm he felt like he made it. Yeah. Oh, Malcolm in the Middle was huge. And he got, was it Breaking Bad within a year? It's so weird how those time frames, because Malcolm in the Middle seems like forever ago. Breaking Bad does not seem like that long ago, but I guess within a year he got it.
Yeah, and then it just goes to the idea of, I call it whimsy or luck in show business, and he kind of talks about these pieces of his career. There's this sort of like just planets lined up for him. And of course, the Phoenician.
It's out right now with Wes Anderson. The Phoenician Scheme, was it?
Sorry about that.
With Benicio del Toro, who I love. And,
and Tommy Hanks, or Tom Hanks to you.
Tombo
Hanks.
And so great chat. We all cracked up as always, and hope you like it. And here's the guy.
Here is Mr. Bryan Cranston.
Shit, that dude's here already.
Oh, fuck. Bryan Cranston. God damn it. Don't say anything. He can't hear us yet.
No, I can't hear anything.
Can't hear a thing.
Not one thing.
Look at this guy.
Bryan Cranston.
Bryan Cranston is a name you want to say. It feels good to say it. Right? Bryan Cranston. Our whole goal is not to bore you. So
how's that going so far?
I think we're bored.
I just watched your monologue of Bryan Cranston. Brian Cranberry.
Ooh.
The SNL mono.
God.
God. Thanks for coming on. You're you're Bryan Cranston. When did you first realize that? Like, I'm fucking Bryan Cranston.
Yeah. When do you put fucking in it?
When did you kind of go, hey, I'm Bryan Cranston. I'm Bryan Cranston. I'm Bryan fucking Cranston.
Yeah.
I want to know the moment, because we don't have a real structure here. I'm assuming sometime during Breaking Bad, it must have hit you at some point. This is fantastic. This show's great. And I think I'm really killing it here. This is fucking, you know what I mean? You must have had a moment, or maybe it was a gradual series of moments. When I got an SNL, it worked out for me. I was sort of like, oh, wow, I'm actually on SNL and it's doing pretty well for me. So the same kind of thing, was it there, or was it Malcolm in the Middle? Was it Seinfeld, or I assume Breaking Bad? I'll let you talk.
There you go.
Yeah. Those, elevations along the way when you're hoping that you have opportunity. I think I started to talk to some young actors a while ago, and also those of us who have been around a while. And I said, I think I realized what it was. When you first start out, you have tremendous ambition, but low opportunity. And it's like you want to conquer everything, but it's like you're struggling to find an audition. And then if you get really lucky, as we all have, I think the opportunities grow, sometimes larger than the ambition. And that's where I find myself now, is putting out the same amount of energy, but going, oh my God, okay, yes, I will read that script. I will get to that at some point. I instruct my agents now. I said, listen, please don't send me anything that you don't really love. So, let them do that work to be able to say, no, this script is really, really great. So you should take a look at it. But I think, and it's a question I actually had for you, for both of you.
Thank you.
Can I do that? Can I turn
we love that.
We like it better. Yeah.
It's better for us.
The interesting thing of when you feel like you've made it. When I was 25 years old, I got a job on a soap opera here in New York. And, it's churn, man. You're just one script. You do the script, you throw it out, read
so hard. Yeah.
The next day, next day. It's a lot of churn that you're going through. But there was something about feeling like, oh man, I could do this. I feel like I can do this. And it was from that moment on at 25 that I've only worked as an actor since. And so I wanted to find out from you guys if that's the way you felt when you got on SNL. Did something click? Did you cross over a threshold that you went, holy shit, this is it for me?
David?
My answer would be, it was such a slow grind. I think Dana popped quicker on SNL, but I was doing stand-up, then I got on an HBO Young Comedians, then I got on SNL, then I was a writer first. And so it took me to getting through SNL and having to make one more jump to something that worked because I wasn't quite solidified yet. Like, you can always make one misstep off SNL and you get one like free pass. Hey, we'll give you a movie, we'll give you a TV show or something. And if that doesn't work, to generate that heat again is so fucking hard. And so I got to a sitcom. And then when the sitcom started to work, that one, Just Shoot Me, it was probably on around when yours was on.
Yeah.
But when that got to like year 3, I started to breathe again and go, okay, so this might be what I do. I don't think I'm going back now. But when was yours, Dana? Because that was it took that long, to be honest.
I bombed a lot. I just started doing stand-up. There wasn't Groundlings or theater groups up in San Francisco in those days. So I was doing stand-up, but I didn't find out until 10 years later, literally almost from my first set to getting SNL, like, oh, this is where I belong. So when I got on SNL and I'd done these characters as a stand-up, and then I put the wig on and the dress with church lady and stuff, it was like, this is really fun. And we'll talk about when you host it, and also your LBJ, which I think is extraordinary. I was watching.
You do one of the best LBJs out there.
Well, the only one where you
Fred Travellina, and
well, he was doing it as an actor. I know. Hollywood wanted to use me. I screen tested for Amadeus.
For real.
Yeah. I did a sitcom with Mickey Rooney and Nathan Lane in New York City when I was 25 years of age at Studio 6A in Rockefeller Center, and then 8 years later, I got on there. So to answer your question shortly, is like, once I got in SNL, I felt like a fish in water. Like, I really belong here, and so that was it for me.
And how old were you then, Dana?
I was 51. No, I was 31, and my first set in a shitbox comedy club where these comedians came up, and I thought, well, they're not that great. It was in Berkeley. And I scrolled on a napkin. I do a Howard Cosell. I do John Wayne, And then a guy came up and levitated the room, and it was Robin Williams. And then I crumpled the paper or the napkin, put it back in my pocket because I didn't know there was only one of him. But basically, it was the classic 10 years of this. But the stand-ups always have a baseline, like a band. You just go back to the clubs, go to the theaters, do stand-up. So it's a nice little side job. So.
It is. It's foundational for you. I did stand-up for about 9 months.
Oh, boy.
Back in 1980, 81. And I did it only because it scared the shit out of me.
Yeah.
What you guys do was something that terrified me. So I thought, wow, the only way I'm ever going to get over this fear of it is to dive in. Shit. So I rose from being terrible to being mediocre in those.
That's a big jump.
Yeah, it's a big jump.
It is in stand-up.
It is big.
Now
consistently
I'm not just walking everyone.
Do the job, get consistent laughs.
Was it New York?
It was in L.A.
In L.A.
Back in 81, when they had, there were places like the Playboy Club was there in Century City, the Laugh Stop, of course, the Comedy Store and Improv.
Is Laugh Stop in Newport?
There was
one in Newport, right?
Then there was one in the Valley where I had a great night. Okay. My best night was in the Valley. I love it. About 8 minutes or something and killed. I got in my car. I drove to the Improv. I begged the guy, "You got to get me on."
I'm on fire.
I'm on fire.
Brian.
And he says, "Well, I could you stick around because someone may not show up." And so,
come on, you're blowing it, guy.
Yeah, I know. So he says, I think what's his name is not going to show up. So in about 45 minutes, you can go on. Okay, 45 minutes. I walked around the block in that neighborhood. The block in that neighborhood doing my set, just trying to recall it exactly as I did it. That got such a great reaction. And I felt great. And I got up. It wasn't the same.
Not the same. Yuck. It's so weird. Crowds are like fingerprints. They're all a little bit different. And then you go, I just was on the road. And I'm like, one night, these 3 jokes work the best. The next thing, these 3. So overall, it's about the same, but you go, why? Why didn't they bite on that? Did I say it wrong? Is it a different attitude? Different something about it? It didn't work.
And you could drive yourself crazy trying to figure it out. Anyway, and I started turning down auditions because I was drinking too much. I was in the clubs, and if I had a good night, someone would offer me a drink. If I had a bad night, someone would offer me a drink.
Oh yeah,
and it was like,
and they're all free, which is great.
Yeah, and you're just going and then sleeping until noon or 1, and turning down auditions. And finally, I just went, wait a minute, what am I doing? And I realized that what you guys had innately was not me. It was not in my being. I was trying to overcome a fear. And all of a sudden I realized, wait a minute, I did that. Oh, let me go back to
that was the point. Yeah, you did that, which was a huge thing.
I remember.
But does it scare you with acting? Does it scare you, or is it the fact you have a few takes, so it's a little easier?
Well, it's just a different muscle, right? You're attracted to certain types of performing, and you find something that you do well, and it's inspiring. I didn't wake up thinking, oh, I've got to get on stage and try to tell this joke. I love being different people and getting into their skin and doing the research and figuring out what made that guy tick and why was he important and all that.
So what
are the police coming to your house right now?
Yeah, that's usually that's from our parent company. It's just saying pick up the podcast a little bit. It's a little bit of
they put a siren.
It's a little bit like
I gotta go.
I'm just curious for a second because you become one of our great actors. It sort of maybe happened secretly or whatever, but I know you would never put yourself probably with your nature into the people you watch growing up. And then you must realize at some point you're doing work as good or better than a lot of your heroes.
Right.
I'm talking, I know what age group we're in.
You're the people.
Spencer
you're
Tracy.
The guy now when
Spencer
people are growing
Tracy
up.
would have loved you. Jimmy Stewart. So that's kind of surreal, isn't it? To realize that.
I still don't feel that. I don't know. Maybe it's just the way I was raised, but there is that imposter syndrome that I think many people go through, that you go, wait a minute, I don't always know what I'm doing, but people think I do. It's like,
you can get away with a lot.
Yeah, like, oh my God. And
your acting choices are like so genius. Like, I forgot my line.
It's throwing a dart. Yeah. That stutter you did. No, I was searching for the word.
I didn't remember.
Oh, when you spaced out, when you looked off,
So real. When did Bob Odenkirk first come to you and go, oh, that was a great take. You're so
Brian,
good. So
you're
funny.
Killing it.
Oh my God.
That's so great.
People are going to love it.
God, yeah. That's funny.
That's so funny. Oh.
We love Bob.
when he was hired for Breaking Bad, he hadn't seen the show yet. And I just ribbed him about that. I go, so you got hired to be on a show, and the episodes were readily available to you, but you chose you chose not to be. So anyway, but he learned quickly, and boy, what a lovely thing that's happened to him, you know.
Yeah.
And I, you know, when he was offered Better Call Saul, he asked if he can go out to lunch with me, and I said sure. And he said, I'm not that guy. I'm not the, hey, follow me, I'll lead you to the promised land kind of guy. And I said, you know, I don't know that I was that either, but there is the need for that person to kind of take care, to kind of be the dad of a company,
of a show.
You're number one on the call sheet. It's kind of saying, there it is for you to take.
It's like quarterback.
Yeah.
They look up to you even whether you don't know it, it or not.
Exactly. So I said, there's going to be a vacuum. If you don't take it, someone else will, or it'll be taken up by someone who you don't necessarily think is the right person, you know? So it's, just, I said, when I first started getting some comments of my work, I used to push back. Hey, you're really good. No. I used to say that. Oh, you're a really becoming a television star. Oh, no. I'm just an actor. And I found it did terrible things. First of all, it made the person wrong, which is not a good thing.
Feel bad,
and feel bad. It forced them to then continue the fight. No.
More compliments.
I'm being serious.
It's a good
trick. So what do you say now?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
That's it.
You don't want to go on a set and be run by number 9 on the call sheet. I'll tell Bob.
Let me ask you a question about and I don't know I know the Malcolm in the Middle, this and that, but you were the lead in Breaking Bad, and you were in the flow all day long. I mean, the pacing of yourself, but also when you're someone who comes in and does a guest spot or has one line, you're waiting all day. You get into a flow, right? Where you're just that character for so many hours. Is it harder, better? Obviously, it's how do you handle the sheer exhaustion? And do you get almost hypnotized even deeper into the world because you're just doing so much of it?
Well, as you guys know this, so for the listeners, it's basically you find your rhythm when you're needed, when you can rest. You develop a system of how and when you're going to rise to an occasion and when you can shut down a little bit. But I always thought, and we've all been on shows where you have the person coming on the show who has one line and they know nobody, and they have to come in and nail that line. And that's one of the hardest things to do.
Yes.
So I would always try to greet every
avoid them,
co-star,
sabotage them. No, go ahead.
and just try to make them feel at ease, because number one, it's the right thing to do to help this person. But number two, it also helps your show.
They're very important. Those people that come in,
it's really hard.
So important they get it right, and they're in a vibe that they don't know. They're just getting in the current, going, "Are we playing everything like this?" And you're like, "No, we're all down here."
Yeah.
But they don't know, and then you go, "Okay, let's make it all
it's
cohesive."
Late in the day, all the makeup's kind of wearing down on the people who have been filming all day long. The crew looks wasted. They're exhausted. They're coming in to land that line. Yeah, it's.
Yeah, they bring them in. You're up. It's like, right before we wrap.
Now just relax. Yeah. Oh, okay. Never thought
I didn't
of
think
it.
of that. Hey, great.
Yeah.
But so how old were you when you really made it in your mind? Because you struggled for a while.
Yeah, but I expected to struggle, so I guess I didn't feel like I was struggling.
But after the soap opera, were you saying like that was 25? So you kind of consistently worked after that. So that's really making it, right?
Very consistent after that. I've never had to do anything but act after that point. And that kind of confidence going into whatever you're doing next is brilliant. And it was a savior. And then about 35 years ago or so, I stumbled upon a philosophy that I realized, oh, I was doing everything wrong. I was thinking that an audition was a job interview, and that because I'm an actor and they're casting for a movie or a TV show or something, that's a job, and I'm going to go in to try to get something. And I realized by doing that, you're giving up your energy and you're sending it away from you. And so I thought, oh, whenever anybody wants or needs something, they don't have control. They're giving up control because they need something. They need a job. They need validation. They need something. So I thought, oh, I'm just going to hold on to that. And I'm not going to want something. I'm going to give them something. I worked on this scene. I think I can do it, but it's their option. Here's an idea. You take it. If that works for you, fantastic. If it doesn't, we'll see you later.
Oh, like we're 50-50. I'm going in. This is good. You want my product? Take it.
Exactly.
Goodbye.
And in the modern era,
I like that.
You can audition with your phone or with a friend, which is kind of nice. Like, here's how I'd play it. You can see me. A lot of people get roles that way as well.
You can tweak it a little bit. Yeah. That helps.
I hated going in those rooms, and I always bombed, and it was horrible. I bombed in front of Paul Newman terribly, and Joanne Woodward.
God, what did you do?
Holy shit.
Well, I had
Paul Newman, the superstar.
Take a shit in front of them or something?
Were you there?
I think Robbie Benson got the part. I had no training. I at all. I was just a stand-up. And so acting terrified me. So I went in, they put us off in pairs, they auditioned. So I went with a lovely young woman. We read the scene. I was all over the place. I knew I was bombing. Joanne Woodward was there with the dog. Paul Newman with red socks, really tall red socks.
Red socks.
And then Paul Newman was so sweet. We just bombed. And then he spent 10 minutes saying, well, I appreciated that. He was just so nice about it, but the air was thick. And so I walked out with my partner. I just met, and I said, well, that didn't go well. And she was like, yeah, it didn't go well, did it? I really ruined her audition.
Yeah.
So anyway, what you just said, I hope young actors listen to that you're just showing them something. You're not really trying to get a job.
It's the difference is, do not go in there to get a job. Go in there to do a job.
Yeah.
That's it. If you can just say, this is my job, I'm going to create something. It's either funny or it's appropriate to this character. Here's my idea. There it is.
Yeah.
If you like it, great. If you don't, that's okay.
I like that. You don't look so desperate and thirsty.
No desperation.
That's my angle is desperate and thirsty, because when I would go in, I would try to joke them. I didn't know what I was doing. So this is Dana probably does too. We spend 8 minutes talking about the 405 and how the crazy drive, and then they're laughing, and then I read it, and when it stops laughing, it goes, oh, forget it.
Oh, that happened to me.
I'm trying to win them over with the meeting.
I made Suzanne Plachette laugh so hard. I had 15 minutes. I'm doing everything. And I'm excited to hear you read. And then it was just dead silence. And, I'm just curious. I thought.
Again?
I'm curious about our guest today. I think I heard you say at one point that I'm just going to do this show business. You made a decision wherever it goes. I'm just going to do this. And what was that after the soap opera? You went back to the soap?
No, I was actually going to a junior college in LA. I had no money. So I was studying police science. I was going to become a cop. And
Detective Cranston.
You look like you could play a detective.
Yeah, you look pretty cool.
We'll get to that. You must have played a cop or detective.
I played lots of cops. And I didn't know what to do. So I was going to become a cop and transfer to a university to finish before I went into the LAPD. That was the general plan. But my second year of this junior college, I took an acting class, and in the class, my job was to kiss this really pretty girl. I am making out with this pretty girl, and I'm thinking, oh my God, this is amazing. And so after that semester, now I'm 19, and I went, I have no idea what I want to do. That just spun me out of control. And so I hopped on a motorcycle and traveled around the country for a couple of years, getting jobs. And odd
celebrating
jobs and
the
carnivals.
kiss.
And, well, no, I was so confused. So in a way, at the time, I felt like I was running away, and I suppose I was, because I didn't know what it was I wanted to put all my energy in. And it wasn't until I was on the Blue Ridge Parkway of Virginia, waiting out a rainstorm on my motorcycle underneath a picnic covered picnic bench with a slab of cement and me. And I stayed there for like 5 days because it just never stopped raining. And it was at that time I had this epiphany that, okay, I am going to go after something that I really feel I can be in love with, but I wasn't necessarily good at yet, as opposed to something I was good at, which was police work, but I didn't love it. And so that was the distinction to me. And I thought, okay, here it goes. I'm going all in. There's no
God, that's ballsy too. One of them's like a set job, and the other one is iffy, very, very iffy.
It will always remain that way too.
When did you first get without giving numbers, a check where you kind of went, holy shit, compared to regular, I was a waiter, a busboy, dishwasher, all the rest, but like, wow, that's amazing. I love this. And they're paying me a lot of money to do it. It's a very heady thing.
Well, I was doing some community theater and some summer stock and dinner theater and stuff like that. But it was in 1979 is when I got my SAG card and started working and making a living. And I did commercials and I did industrial films and whatever would pay the rent and all that stuff. That's, it was fun.
When did you get paid too much money?
When did you want to give some of it back? Because clearly this is wrong.
There are some of those jobs now that you say, no. Wait, what? You want
what did you get for Godzilla 2017?
What did you get? We don't ask.
No, we
don't.
You don't answer that question. I'm sorry.
I do know that I did when I was coming up. I worked did voices for the Power Rangers. I did so many voices for the Power Rangers that they renamed when they changed all the names from a Japanese name to Americanized sounding names. They said, why don't we name the blue Power Ranger Cranston? Billy Cranston, not Brian. Billy Cranston. Do you mind? And I said, I don't mind. We didn't think it was going to go anywhere. And it goes anywhere. So the blue Power Ranger, Billy Cranston, is named after me. Because I did so many of those voices.
Let's go, team.
Let's go. And
I love that
show. Defeat me. I will kill you.
Oh, I love it.
You've kind of done everything, haven't you? Voiceovers, sitcoms, movies, theater.
Well, it's you have to expand your ability to work, or else you're really narrowing the field, I think, man. Right?
Well, I think you're in this new Phoenician. Is that correct?
The Phoenician scheme.
Phoenician
scheme, which is very interesting. Those movies, which I will see this one because you're in it and we're buddies now, but also because it's just those are so cool. Those movies that he does.
He is. Wes Anderson is probably the most un-Texan-like Texan you've ever met.
Yeah,
he's very nattily dressed. He's very erudite and polite and worldly. And he it's not to say, let me clarify, it's not to say that Texans can't also be that, but
sure.
I understand.
The sensibility. Anyway, send all your letters to Dana and David. But and so this is the third project I've done with Wes Anderson, and he's it's brilliant. He's such an auteur. You cannot go into it thinking, oh, I know where he's going to twist this or turn that. It's like he blows your mind with where
bananas.
He goes with stuff. Yeah, it's crazy.
I think I saw that last one, maybe Astro something with Scarlett Johansson.
Asteroid City.
Yeah, Asteroid City. And went and saw it at the theater. It was so fun and so cool. And it just like wakes you up like, okay, here's a movie. Okay, pay attention. Like
I was in that
everything, set dressings,
you,
everything. Very good. You did a great job. And I love Benicio also. Benicio in this one.
He's cool.
What a cool guy. I've run into him along the way here and there. But
What are your thoughts on your co-star?
Yeah.
So
give us some Benicio.
So Tom Hanks and I played brothers. We play brothers in the Phoenician Scheme, and we are shooting this in Germany. And so we go over to Germany, and we're in every scene together. So we're rehearsing together and stuff. And we had basically in this movie, Phoenician Scheme, it's kind of light lift for us, but Benicio has a shit ton of dialogue, very specific, very Wes Anderson the way it's carved and moved, it's like, wow. And so I was just saying, if there's anything I could do for you, man, you let me know, because you're carrying the load here. And he would just nod and look, and he would cram. And so it's challenging work because of the fact that he is so specific, and in his shooting style and his symmetry of his camera angles and everything. It's amazing. But the film works. Phoenician Scheme really does work.
Those things I've already heard people that have seen it immediately, of course.
Yeah, you can tell it's one person is making the movie. I mean, Sam, I know that he's it just sort of hit me researching that sometimes he collaborates with Roman Coppola.
Yeah.
And I did a commercial with Chevy Chase and Molly Shannon, whatever, for a phone company, and Roman was directing it. And he had an immaculate suit on, and he was such a gentleman. It was just very interesting to watch him do that. And so when I saw him connected to Wes Anderson, there is an eloquence about them.
That is a type of director out there. Yeah. Also, it's nice to be in a movie, Brian, where they're not just like, who do we get to direct this? Because it's going to look so specific to a director when he does it. You just watch the trailer and you go, oh, that's Wes. Okay, that's what that is. And that pulls people right in, I think. And to be an actor, to be in it would be, what a blast.
It's cool. I mean, there is some pressure behind it. Like when we were shooting Asteroid City in Spain.
That was Spain?
It was shot in Spain for the California desert.
Yeah.
It's the California, Nevada desert.
Mm-hmm. But I believed it.
Wes lives in Paris most of the time. So, and he doesn't like to fly. So he takes his big bus coach that he has all decked out, and he travels that way. So he usually stays on the continent.
God, what a life. He's in Paris with a bus, and he has complete control over his work, and he gets like 10 superstars.
Yeah.
So the budget for the acting, I heard Hanks got $20 million for this one, or is that
what?
Exaggerated.
Wow. Interesting.
Yes.
Wow, that's
interesting. But how does he manage? Because you're doing it for the love of the art. I mean, is it, right? And he gets just the greatest, Bill Murray and you guys.
Yeah, we all make the same amount of money. Mm-hmm. And I honestly can't even tell you what that is, but I know it's not much.
Yeah,
it's like I believe it. It's just more like if he wants you in, you do it.
But that's such a great thing that he has. It obviously must be just a hell of a nice person you want to be around.
And it's a great hang because there are no trailers. You all go and you're in one like really souped up kind of tent with the rugs and nice comfortable chairs and floor lamps and everybody just kind of hangs out together. And you go in, you only work usually about 8 hours or 9 hours a day. That's it. And,
within reason. That's good.
Then at night, every night, there's a long rectangular table, and all the actors and all the department heads and the writers and producers and Wes, we all have dinner together every single night with wine and all kinds of stuff.
And so where do you watch porn? That's my next question.
How?
I know, where, how? Who has to ask someone? It's so embarrassing. Yeah. Can we do it at dinner? Do we have to wait?
I do anyway.
I thought, you'll figure it out.
How do you personally, or I guess it's Project like to be directed? Do you like a soft touch? You like someone in your face? Cranston, I don't believe a word you're saying.
I don't get it.
Or does Wes Anderson kind of just sort of wander around and sort of give you subtle notes, or you like it all? I mean,
the first day I worked on Asteroid City, I had quite a large speech to give, and I got through it in his tricky dialogue, and I thought I did pretty well, and he did too. He came to me and he said, "Yes, Brian, that was very, very good. Now I just need it much, 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 much faster. And it was like, to hear that, it was like, oh my God. So you're going so fast, you don't even hear yourself. You don't even think you're thinking, and you're and getting it out. So the work is challenging.
It's hard with dialogue. People forget you're memorizing. It's so hard to get every word right, especially if you're working for a writer or director and you go, I've had one where he came back and he said, you were great. You missed this one word here. Let's go again. And I go, one word? It was like one word that didn't change anything.
Yeah.
But that's the way I wrote it. I go, got it.
You said and instead of but.
Exactly.
Oh, I hate that. That's why I hated movies, because you go in the morning for the master shot and then you're in your close-up 8 hours later and the script supervisor says, no, your elbow was on top of the chair. Yeah. Oh, really? I mean, that's why. Have you done movies where it's like a moving master, minimal shooting, that kind of freedom?
Yeah. And actually, I don't know if you remember this, Dana, but we worked together.
Why?
Whoa.
I remember running into you at Letterman, right?
No.
Well, we've done that, but no, like Dave said.
Where was I first on the call sheet? Where was I?
Yes, sir, you were. Yes,
was I nice?
Wayne's World?
Opportunity knocks?
Yeah, kind of. No, it wasn't that.
Clean slate?
Clean slate.
Whoa.
You were in that movie? That's probably your lowest grossing movie.
No, that's great.
I'm so sorry. If I could write you a check, actually, I'm gonna do a Venmo. Where are you?
I played the very pivotal role of club official. Yeah,
Dana, what would that be? Do you remember?
We were in Santa Monica on the beach.
Yes, I remember that.
Club, right? And I don't remember anything else. Not a thing.
Dana doesn't even remember Santa Monica.
I don't remember a thing. So I play a character with amnesia. It was terrible. Went to this acting coach, and his theory was, you don't have amnesia. Your character is pretending to have amnesia, but you don't. Your character does not have amnesia.
Was that real from the movie?
This is Roy London. God rest his soul. He's this great actor. That was his way of getting you out of your own way. So then there was a guy playing a blind person. We were filming at the beach, and he had the stick, and he's playing a blind person. And I said to him, I don't really have amnesia. I'm just pretending. And he goes, I'm not really blind. He'd gone to the same acting coach. Whatever. I just figured. That was ridiculous. That was me making a foolish choice right off of SNL. I had way too much heat, no experience, and I wish I could take it back. If we could have switched in that you became the lead and I was guard number one, it might have had a chance.
Yeah.
No, I was club official.
Oh, club official. God, Wikipedia sucks sometimes.
Yeah. Oh my God. That was written by Robert King, by the way. Robert King.
He's great.
I've worked with since. I was partners with him on a series called Your Honor. And he's terrific.
Oh, yeah. That's a great show. I've never seen you bad. I don't know if you like.
Oh, you were kind of bad.
I want to. Yeah. Let's see. What was
I?
What was the one we circled?
What was
no, but by the way, how about when I heard a Malcolm in the Middle reboot? Is it?
That's right.
What is it on? What is it on Disney Plus?
It's going to be on Disney. Yeah, since they bought out Fox, we were originally owned by Fox.
Oh yeah, how do they do that?
And so now we're owned by Disney. And they bought 4 episodes of this reboot. I didn't think it reboot. It's something I was pushing for the last 10 years, because I thought that audiences.
Was that hard? Wow.
Well,
fun.
No, Linwood Boomer, who is the creator of the show, when I first pitched it to him, he said, "No, I'm not interested." No. About a year and a half later, I said, "What about it?" He goes, "No, I really don't think it's something I want to do." And I went, "Really? It's starting to improve." and then a third one, the third time, 3 years after that, it was like, well, if someone else wrote it, maybe I'll look at it. And I just started wearing him down until he said, "I've got an idea." And I said, "Good.
Love it.
Go get it.
Love it."
So we just finished it. We shot that a month ago. And it's amazing how these boys, who were my boys on that show, are now around the same age I was when we first started.
Oh, no, really?
Yeah. They've got children of their own.
There's a kid on there named Eric, is there?
Yeah,
Eric Sullivan?
Yeah, Eric Sullivan.
Played Little Joe Dirt in an old movie I did.
That's right.
He played me as a kid.
Now, David, did you remember that, or now that you were doing the research?
I didn't. I remembered he was on it back then. He was really cute and funny, and he walked around in little cowboy boots and in the movie. But now that you say it again, I'm like, oh, that's right. He's probably older now, but
he is the only one who didn't come back to act in the show.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, I talked to Eric. And I said, hey, we got the show. It's going to come back. He goes, oh, that's fantastic. And I go, yeah. So we're looking forward to having you back. He goes, oh, no, I don't want to do it. But it's fantastic.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because he's actually going to Harvard. And
he's a normal person now?
Well, I don't think he's not normal because he's really... not my circle normal. He's really, really smart, and he's getting I think he's getting his master's at Harvard right now. And he said, "Oh God, no, I haven't acted since I was 9 or something. So I'm not into it." Yeah.
Wow, because he's like, it just makes us all feel so dumb that we're actors. He's like, I don't want to go do that stupid shit again. I'm like, no, it's pretty smart what we do. And I'm like, no, not
really.
It's not that hard. How cool, though.
All right,
that's good.
Pick a topic. Okay. SNL, you hosted.
Oh, God.
And just because it was all over the place a couple of years ago during the strike, that just the idea of AI and robots integrating with our industry and where it seems to be going is fascinating to me, because we keep seeing these digital short films by Alphabet Google where you're like, what the hell? I mean, it's getting surreal. We are actually digital copies right now. I just wanted to be full disclosure, but it is kind of bizarre, isn't it? Just to watch the future, right?
It is. It just feels like something a little impersonal, but I remember it so fondly, and being invited to host at that time when Breaking Bad was at its, peak. And I immediately said yes. And it's such a rush. I mean, I know you guys have talked about this on the podcast before and everyone's experience, but it was incredible. And how deep dive involved you are in every moment of that. And that, from the first time I'm sitting in Lauren's office in that chair in the middle, and everybody, all the writers are on the floor and behind the curtains and things. And I thought the pitches that were going on that first day, that Monday, were actually supposed to be sincere. It was like,
not some fake. Of them are. Some but most are fake pitches.
Most they go, I just want to say this because it'll be rejected and let it die a cold death. Someone said, okay, so you're a barista at Starbucks and you finish your drink and you call out, Trevor, iced mocha latte, Trevor, and no one ever shows up. That was his pitch.
That's the whole pitch?
That was the whole pitch. I went, I thought this is going to be a long week.
Yeah, people think of that at Starbucks on the way to the meeting. They're like, because I think the problem is you end the show Saturday, you don't wake up until Sunday at 3 p.m. You do your laundry, and then you're in front of Bryan Cranston. So you're like, I will think of something for him. I just have not.
I would say a guy walks up and says his name is Trevu. No, not Trevor. And then another guy walks up, Taniv. No, Trevor.
I'm Tever.
Trevu. I'm just trying to complete the sketch.
We can write it. We'll write it.
Lauren will be listening to this. We'll have him back, after, the Wes Anderson kick. We'll get good numbers with the Malcolm people. Do they have nicknames for Malcolm in the Middle fanatics? Like Malcolmites or Middlers?
They probably do, but I don't know.
Not aware.
I don't know. I'm not aware of that stuff. Yeah, I don't know.
So what was your monologue like? Did you, when you were coming out there, did you have a strong one?
I did have some ideas, and John Mulaney wrote it.
I remember that guy.
Did he do that barbershop kind of quartet one or whatever you did?
Yes.
The singing.
That's right, the barbershop kind of thing. And he said, what if we take the point of view that people kind of know you, but they don't really know you? And I said, yeah, okay. He's like, because I was getting that, oh, are you the guy from Malcolm in the Middle? You're the dad? You're the guy? It wasn't associating name with face.
Your name.
Breaking Bad was on at that time, right?
Yeah, but
still kind of going up.
You're kind of that guy. Oh, you're Walt.
You're the guy from Breaking Bad.
Right. Yeah. You're the guy from Breaking Bad. And it's not until someone actually knows your name connected to your face that you go, okay, things have changed, which goes back to your original question, Dan, is that's when you go, oh, things have changed. But we did, we did the monologue, and I just wanted to do anything. I had a couple pitches for them, which I pitched ideas, which were almost immediately shut down.
Shut down.
I had a great pitch, which I think is still.
I'm a circus clown, and do you remember the pitch?
I do remember the pitch.
Well, let's hear it, and let's see if it's really that bad. We'll grade it.
Okay, so
1 to 10.
So myself and a date and another couple, we can't believe we got reservations for this restaurant. It's supposed to be amazing. It's called In the Sauce. And it's like, wow. And this very snooty waiter comes in and says, are you ready? Can we see a menu? No, we don't give menus. We serve you food. You eat the food, you leave. It's like, oh, okay, yes. And he said, it's all about the sauce. So he puts down a crudité and we dip it in the sauce. And it's like, oh my God, just amazing. Crudité is taken away. Here comes the entree. You're eating the entree. We're eating. Oh my God, this sauce is absolutely insane. We're overeating. We eat too much. We throw up. We dip the barf in the sauce. Oh my God. It's all about the sauce. It's like no matter what you're eating, as long as the sauce is
do we
good,
know?
No, it's in the sauce. It's in the sauce.
What if it's Soylent Green at the end?
It's like you have a severed finger and you dip it in the sauce and it's like,
whatever. I got you. Yeah.
Still good. That didn't get past Monday meeting?
No, it didn't get past Monday. Now I truncated that pitch now. It goes much longer.
I can do a longer version.
Sauteed pig snout. You take a bite. Oh, this is horrible.
Ah, yes.
Dip in sauce.
Yeah, get everyone to come in with a funny accent. You're halfway there.
Yeah.
Did you get to play big, broad accents, Italian? Get that out of your system, and just because you have a great ear. I mean,
it's like that. Your listeners know the system now. So I mean, Tuesday is the big writing overnight,
right?
And then Wednesday, the binder of 60 sketches.
Terrifying.
And each writer is, can I talk to you a second? Okay, now you're a pirate. No. You're a pirate, and
there's absolutely no system. They just grab you on the way to the bathroom.
They just grab you. You're a cowboy. You're a pirate. And so you're just making big choices. Okay, I'm going to do a New York accent, a Southern accent, an English accent. I'm a pirate. I'm a baseball player.
Right. Yeah.
Just, and so I don't know what I was doing. It was just one after another. And it's dizzying, as you know. And then, but he's weighing, Lauren kind of knows what he wants already. Mm-hmm. And then I'm shuttled into the room.
Shuttled.
Seth, kind of.
Secret Lauren's office, hallowed ground.
Brings you.
Seth and Steve came in.
Steve Higgins, Seth Meyers.
Steve Higgins, and Seth, and we're looking at the board, and Lauren said, "Well, is there any particular sketch that you felt connected to?" And I said, "Yeah, that this other one, this laundromat one. Yeah, that's not as strong as this one, though."
He hoped you agree, and then you're like, "No, actually, you're wrong."
What you just picked would never work. Here's one that's better. Oh, you're a novice. It's not your fault, but we'll take care of it.
Is there anyone you don't like? That'll be the cold
Marcy,
opener.
any more popcorn? No butter.
Brian, he's starving. Help him.
So fun.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it is, there's nothing like it. It's been called an athletic event on the show by some people, like a sporting event. It's tactile. It's high risk. I don't know. I mean, we got to get you back on. I want to co-host with you and David.
Yeah.
I would love to go back on because Steve Higgins said, there's two things, two pieces of advice I can give you. And I had known Steve before because I worked with his brothers, Al Higgins and David Higgins, who were connected to Malcolm. Al was one of the writers of Malcolm.
Oh, okay.
Dave Higgins was one of the actors on the show. So Steve says two things. First and foremost, trust the cards. Don't think you can go off the cards and I got this. I know what it is because they're constantly changing. Cues are changing. Lines are changing. Trust the cards. And second, don't try to be perfect. Allow it to not be perfect. Allow it to be wherever it's going to go.
It's part of the fun. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I took that advice. And I think by doing so, I mean, I had a blast. And man, that 90 minutes was over it felt like
2 seconds.
It felt like, 85 minutes. It was amazing.
Really
Yeah, the energy that comes because you're going when you host that show, you're pretty wiped out by the time the dress and all this stuff, and you're coming out and you're like, damn. And then of course it just comes when you need it. As soon as you hear that,
and it's adrenaline.
Yeah, and then to hear Don for the first time, I'm backstage at that door with the facade, and people are scribbling their names on the thing, and you're waiting behind the door, and I'm standing there going, oh my God, I'm about to host Saturday Night Live.
So
oh my
weird.
God. And I just took a couple deep breaths, and then I hear Don Pardo's voice going, and the host, Brian Cranston. And I went, that freaked me out. And the door opens and out we go. And it was
fun.
Oh God, like shot out of a cannon.
Yeah. Well, Brian, before you go, I definitely want to tell you, it's great. First of all, great to have you. And second of all, to have a line like, I won't get it exactly right, but that scene when you say, I am the danger, everyone knows it. Everyone talks about it. It's great to have a show. It's already, everyone's all over it. But then to have such a cool thing, what a blast.
It was a gift, man.
It possessed me. I was completely possessed by that show and the acting and Aaron Paul. All of it was just so new and different. I try to think because I was talking to someone, I got Sopranos, Breaking Bad, when they say television's better than movies, like
to be up in that category.
I thought Ozarks was really good. There's been a lot of other shows, but I can for sure say Sopranos, Breaking Bad. Like if you have people who haven't seen Sopranos, you got to watch that. Haven't seen Breaking Bad, you got to watch that. And I think they're seminal. I think they're
The Wire also is
The Wire is another one.
Yeah.
There are others
where
as
it's
well.
like not arguable. People are like, okay.
It almost didn't happen for me either. We were finishing Malcolm in the Middle's 7th season, and Fox said, keep all the sets up. We might pick it up for an 8th season. Then they turned around and a month later said in May of 2006, no, we had a good pilot season, so we're done with Malcolm. Thank you very much. We're all a little disappointed. It would have been fun. But later that year is when Vince Gilligan wanted to see me for Breaking Bad. And we shot the pilot for Breaking Bad in February and March of 2007. Had Malcolm in the Middle gone that 8th year, I'm not doing Breaking Bad. Someone else is.
Wow.
So I try to tell that to young actors all the time, to say, luck has a weird way of working. So just when something happens that you think is bad luck, it may be putting you in a position to have better luck. You don't know.
Yeah, I love Paul Newman for a lot of reasons, his charitable work, but people would try to go, how great, Cool and Luke, and how great you are. He goes, it comes down to one thing, dumb luck, whether that's completely true or not, but there's whimsy to this life, and whimsical things happen in show business. You never know.
But you still should not have taken a shit on his Red Sox.
No, that's crazy.
That was a mistake.
I know, but I did have a dream last night. I'll leave you with this. I had a dream last night because I thought of you as, in a way, like archetypal, like you could have been an actor from the 40s or 50s or whatever, just because of how you look. You're timeless in a way. And Henry Fonda came to me in the dream. And I said, well, what do you think of these young actors? Bryan Cranston. He said, well, he's as good as anybody's ever been. He sure knows his way around a camera. Would have loved to have done a movie with Bryan Cranston. And then I woke up, I said to my wife, I just heard Henry Fonda talking about Bryan Cranston. So I just wanted to do that for you.
Thank you.
No one asked me to do Henry Fonda anymore.
No.
That's a perfect Henry Fonda. Unfortunately, you got to be 60 to know who he is.
They only remember Jimmy Stewart. They don't remember Spencer Tracy, Cary Grant. It's Jimmy Stewart because of the Christmas movie. It's a Wonderful Life.
Ryan looks like a little bit like Springsteen today.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Don't you think a little bit?
He does look a little bit. There's an underbite there.
Yeah, he's got an underbite. Yeah.
I like it. She's cool.
Ryan,
thank you, buddy.
All right. Thank you,
Ryan. It's just such a pleasure, and good luck and everything. And I'm going to go see this Wes Anderson picture.
I'm going to see this
Phoenician Scheme.
The Phoenician Scheme.
Yeah,
Phoenician Scheme, and we got Malcolm coming out soon. I love it all.
Yep.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, bud.
Have a good day.
Be well.
Buddy. You
Thanks,
too.
man.
This has been a presentation of Odyssey. Please follow, subscribe, leave a like, a review, all this stuff. Smash that button, whatever it is, wherever you get your podcasts. Fly on the Wall is executive produced by Dana Carvey and David Spade, Jenna Weiss-Berman of Odyssey, and Heather Santoro. The show's lead producer is Greg Holtzman.
Folks, I like that word. Folks.
That's what a lot of politicians say. They go for the folks at home.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what? You can't say men or women. They say for the folks at home.
It's a good word for Obama. Folks are hurting. Folks aren't sure how to pay the bill. That's what folks are doing.
Folks are feeling the pinch.
Folks are feeling the pain. Folks, it's definitely a lot of politicians use it. It's kind of a homey thing. But folks, we have a super guest today on Super Fly on the Wall. Carol Leifer is with us, who's a mainstream of comedy from 1981 or 2. She was on David Letterman, and she's worked as a stand-up and also, David, her writing career.
Huge writing career.
Seinfeld.
From Seinfeld to Hacks presently, where they're winning Emmys over there.
Curb Your
Hacks
Enthusiasm.
is always doing well, yeah.
Good friends with Larry David and Jerry Seinfeld, and she has some interesting takes on their relationship. Teaser alert.
She has a book out, Dana. It's called How to Write a Funny Speech for a Wedding, a Bar Mitzvah, or Birthday, or any other event you didn't want to go to in the first place, by Carol Leifer. We laughed a lot during this one because she's a stand-up that you knew in the old days. I've known her recently, and I just saw her at the Laugh Factory, actually. So very funny, great storyteller, exactly what we want in this show.
Yes, and also one last thing, the sort of famous season of 1985, she was there writing, and she'll talk about
at SNL.
Robert Downey Jr. at like 19 years of age, skating down the hall and stuff like that. So it's really fun. She's super likable. I've known her for longer than I want to remember. I'm now doing
years.
Please enjoy the one and only Carol Leifer.
You mean the set that I did for The Tonight Show?
Yeah.
Well, it's a bit of a saga because, Letterman saw me on the big New York Laugh Off.
The Laugh Off.
Yeah, because, in our day, that's how you got people to pay attention to you. You did contests. And he saw the big Laugh Off. That's the one where Eddie Murphy came in 5th and I came in 4th. Yes. So he had seen me on the big Laugh Off, and he recommended me to Jim McCauley, as you know, the talent booker for The Tonight Show. And then they passed. And then probably when I saw you, Dana, they saw me again and they passed. And I auditioned 22 times until I finally got The Tonight Show in 1992, right before Johnny left.
Never even heard of that. That's that many times I've never heard of that.
Over a decade? Or what's the time frame of the 22 auditions?
I would say from 1980 to 92. But what was happening also was, it is that, I was doing Letterman a lot during those years. So Tonight Show also saw me as a Letterman act. So that stood in my way. But it just became like, I don't know, should I wear a dress the next time? Okay. Like it just became a bit of like, okay, I guess I'll go out there again.
And it's always Macaulay?
It was always Macaulay, yeah. I mean, you remember how powerful he
of course.
Great and powerful Oz.
I didn't even try. They just like, you don't got it. Don't even audition. Just, yeah. Well, I was doing characters and stuff, and they like jokes. I was just going to ask you from a personal point of view, what kind of stand-up in your head were you in 92 compared to 1980?
Well, I was much more, you have 12 years of experience, as you know. I mean, you get better every year. And at that time in New York, I mean, you guys didn't come up in the New York scene, but you could do 8 sets on a Saturday night.
Well, I don't do that in a year.
It sounds preposterous, but it's true.
Yeah.
I've heard that. Yeah.
With all the different comedy clubs. I mean, you'd have, a 7:10 here and 8:15 here. It just went on and on and on. So I just was a better comedian. But wait a minute. So Dana, you never did the Tonight Show with Johnny?
I did, but I came out as a guest from Saturday Night Live. I never came out behind the curtain and did that terrifying thing. What I want to ask you, 2 things about those days. Yes. Did you ever say, and step on it to the cab driver in New York? And did you ever get so good that like Leifer's here? Like you, because I think confidence, Eddie Murphy had peak confidence at 19. He has it now. There are certain people, Sandler, took me a long time. But when you get the confidence, it's fun. Do you ever walk in and go, I'm the shit, man. Fuck you people.
I've heard her say that.
Okay, 2 questions. Step on it. I'm about to have a baby. Okay, go ahead.
Step on it was definitely something. And I learned in many different languages to communicate with all of the cab drivers. But I think by 92, I remember it was just, I had done the New Year's show with Leno before. And I just feel like they kind of felt like, oh, we got to put her on. I mean, this is ridiculous already.
It's such an omission at this point. It looks weird.
And who were your peers? It was Elaine Boosler.
Yeah. Who were your female peers at the time?
Elaine Boosler was actually not my female peer. She was before me.
Yeah.
And I got into stand-up because one of the big reasons was because of Elaine. I'm sure people have talked about on your pod that.
Not really enough.
Not that much.
No.
Yeah.
She was the top, the female stand-up that when I was in those early days, she was.
Yeah. She was on the cover of New York Magazine and, funny girl. And it just kind of changed. I was like, oh, if this, woman can do it, like maybe I can do it. I remember Seinfeld and I talking about that cover. It had an impact on him in wanting to go into stand-up because it was a new type of woman and person going into stand-up.
Yeah, the 70s is when it all kind of shifted in what was allowed. And then lately, I don't want to jump too far ahead, but we have a lot of our great women comedians, or call them comedians.
It's all about the same now, but it was more differentiated.
Yeah. And there's a liberation of really being as hardcore as the men. It's just been a shift where the audience, the women are more, they can be sexual, they can step outside the lines. But you were kind of riding that wave, and you had Phyllis Diller. But not Phyllis Diller. She's a little more back there. Joan Rivers was quite a, she was sort of body and intense.
Yes. And Joan Rivers was great, but I think what differentiated her from my generation was, it was a very like, am I right, ladies? Can
we talk, right?
Yeah, can we talk? Elizabeth Taylor dog.
She said 5 facelifts and a boob job. Please, can we talk? Can we talk? Barbara Bush is not sexy. Can we talk?
Barbara Bush. Was Rosie O'Donnell around then, or was that a little later?
Rosie O'Donnell came a little after me, but my peers were like Rita Rudner and Paul Stone.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember with Rita, because we went on a Catch a Rising Star together, in those days, they wouldn't put 2 women on after each other. It was like
horrifying.
Like, okay, there's the singer, then the ventriloquist, then a woman, then we'll have the monkey act, and maybe another woman. It was just.
How are 2 women on the same show? That's revolting to the audience.
It was revolutionary.
I work with Rita. She was a linesmith. She could write great jokes. It was just boom, boom, boom.
Yeah. She is one of the all-time best joke writers for sure.
Really good joke writer.
Yeah.
Maybe underrated because I don't hear about her enough because I worked with her for a week and I was new and I just kept going, wow, this is, really, I was like, it is just bam, 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 bam. Interesting delivery, interesting persona.
Yeah. Yeah, she works a lot. She gets a lot of the corporate gigs that I want to get. We got Rita.
Oh, good.
Sorry, we got
did
Rita.
Vegas.
All right, let's put that out into the universe.
Corporates are fun.
Yes.
Juicy corporate. She's clean. She's funny. She's likable, and she'll go for pictures afterwards without any complaint.
CEO's kid, even if it's not part of the deal, can we take a quick picture? Yes.
You're kind of like this lane because you're still here and you started there and you're getting more famous than your resume. Like I only found out this week, and I want to talk about it because there's a whole documentary briefly just about your work as a writer while you were being a stand-up. And I don't know what your one was before the 85 season on Saturday Night Live, which did you? Yeah. Okay, so let's just talk about that a little bit, how you got the job and have you seen the documentary about it?
I have seen the documentary.
Okay.
What is unaffectionately called the weird year of SNL.
Yeah.
85 when Lauren came back. And I remember I auditioned at the comic strip to be a performer, and Al Franken, the great Al Franken, and
sorry,
and Jim Downey, as you know, famous head writer, came for a showcase, and I did well. And they came over to me afterwards, and they were like, "Would you want to think about being a writer?" And I was like, "What I want to be? Yeah." So I lived in California, and they said, "Well, come in and have a meeting with Lauren." So I came into New York. So all ready for I had it all planned, an hour of what I could say to, prospective questions, blah, blah, blah. And it was literally, Lauren was auditioning talent in that big kind of like studio room in Broadway. I don't know where they held the auditions. It always looked like where they would audition dancers for like a chorus line, and 2, 3, 4, and but and I came and they said, "Okay, Lauren's going to meet with you now." He came outside the door of the audition room, and he said, "They've said very good things about you." I said, "Oh, thank you." And the job. I don't do a good Lauren impression, so somebody could do this for me, but.
Go ahead. Let's guess what he said. The job is not easy, but you'll find it's exciting. It's that thing of like you're going to find your voice this year, and then you'll go on to like much bigger things. We like you. Go ahead. Something like that.
How do you like New York?
Well, it was almost exactly like that. Just you have been told that Tuesday nights are late and you work very late. And I went, yeah. And I went, okay. So it lasted about a minute.
Minute long meeting.
And then I was hired. Yeah, it was I love that documentary about the year because it was crazy and it was nutty. But I still, I always like to tell young people, we wrote longhand on yellow pads. And then you'd give it to the writer.
Me too. Yeah. I say that all the time.
Yeah. So that was it. And then I was really the only woman writer that year, but it was amazing. Like Murderer's Row of writers, like Smigel was an apprentice.
Whoa.
Yeah, I always teased him. An apprentice means you need to wear goggles in the writer's room. John Swartzwelder and Jack Handy and George
Meyer
and Don Novello. And it was just amazing. But I've had a lot of stuff on. I have to say, I look back and was like, I wrote a lot with Franken. We did this sketch, Quirky. Yeah, this Tom Hanks sketch, a lot of people don't know, as you guys know, you can write a sketch and have it at read through. And if they pass on it, you can bring it back a few more times. And
it's a little stinky, but you bring it back.
Yeah. And then Tom Hanks finally, put it over the finish line.
Who was your cast? I can't remember.
Yeah, let's talk about that a little bit for people who don't know. But this pivotal year was the first year that Lorne came back after leaving with the seminal cast of all time in 1980. His first year back. So a lot of pressure. Lorne is back. We've had the Billy Crystal, Martin Short, Christopher Guest year. We had the Eddie years with Joe Piscopo. And now Lorne Michaels is back. So who was on that show? Cast.
Well, it was Dennis Miller, of course. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks for the call. Shout out, Leifer. Okay. Good.
You did. It was Nora Dunn, Joan Cusack, Denitra Vance. Then the guys.
Was it Terry Sweeney?
It was Terry Sweeney. It was Randy Quaid.
Anthony Michael Hall,
Robert Downey Jr., who I just saw at the Oscars.
Did he remember? I mean, but surely he did, right?
Oh, yeah.
He goes, hey, Carol. What, all right.
It's like, I remember you skateboarding down the halls of the 17th floor. It was, they talk about in the documentary, Lorne hired actors more than comedians. And it's that sort of, and Lovitz was a cast member, and he did really well that year. I think he and Dennis and Nora were the only people that were brought back after that.
Survived the fire.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, do people know this? At the end of the season, some sketch, I was watching it live, and then all the cast had to go into a fire, except 3 of them didn't have to go into the fire. I mean, it was who wrote that? Al? Were you and Al?
I wish I remembered who wrote that. It was. And then do you remember when Madonna came back the next year to host? She apologized for the entire 85, 86 season.
Like a Dallas kind of thing?
My first like time a dream? In the studio. She was our cold open.
Oh, that's right.
And you were there, Dana.
That was your year. Was your audition in one of those chorus line rehearsal rooms like I saw them?
No, I just, real quickly, I had auditioned at the Comedy Store in like 20 people with no MC in the original room. And I followed Kennison at midnight. Before I went on, they said, SNL is here. I don't think it was Lorne, but SNL is here.
Oh, nice.
I bombed so bad. And Al Franken saw me at the Punchline. I just bombed and bombed. And then show came around again real fast. I just went to Igby's. You remember that little 100-seater?
Yes.
Rosie O'Donnell was headlining. I got a hold of Jan Smith. I said, Lorne Michaels will come see me because we had the same, my manager was managing him. I was with Bernie Brillstein and Brad Gray.
Yeah.
So then I met Rosie, who seemed like just like so confident in New York and everything. I can't believe how young we both were, but I got to do 40 minutes. Lorne came, brought Brandon Tartikoff, and then Cher. And I got 40 minutes in front of a regular audience instead of 5 following Kennison. And that's kind of how I got the show.
Wow.
Did Cher do 5? How was her set?
Cher came out and she had like a sequin dress on. And she goes, "Half funny."
Half funny
instead of half breed. I don't know.
I like it. Yeah. Do you believe I'm 74?
She's just kind of reaching with the leafer pod. I don't know what's
she
going
gets it.
on.
When did you audition, Spade? When was yours?
Thank you. I'll take this question, Dana.
Yes,
I'm going to stay quiet because this is riveting.
Funny story. I was born in... No, I'm kidding. Going too far back. I went with Schneider. It's funny because you were mentioning New York clubs. I've never played them, and they had us audition off a Young Comedian special. They brought us in to audition at probably Catch a Rising Star, if that sounds familiar.
Yeah.
And on a tough night, and they all came in from Downey to maybe Smigel to maybe Franken to not Lauren. I don't think Lauren is there. But I remember it was me, Schneider, Tom Kenny. I always say this like it's negative to Tom Kenny. It's not negative to Tom Kenny. He was a San Francisco act that was very, just broader.
I knew him well, SpongeBob. They became SpongeBob, and he owns most of Nevada.
Yeah.
But anyway.
He's so rich. But Dennis Miller was there too, and he was helping. And, before I went on, I told Dana, he goes, Spud, you don't want to kill too hard. They don't want some polished fucking road hack. And I go, so don't do good? He's like, all right, 3, 2, 1. I'm like, wait, Dennis, what? So anyway, I took his advice, did not do well. His advice was the right thing. It just, in the whole complexities of it all, I didn't really get it. They were just really looking at the writing of the jokes for me to be a writer, maybe a performer later. I thought it was to be a performer. So I'm like, yada da, give him the whole John Bonet routine, really amping it up. Mm-hmm. And then afterwards, I got off early because I said, I think I was supposed to do 20. I did 12, maybe. I think Schneider went off early. But Tom Kenny did do very well. But Rob and I got the call to come in and write and perform.
Oh, wow. But you thought that night you hadn't done well, right?
I just knew it was a tough night, but it was pretty sparse, and it was probably it's probably 15 from SNL and 15 people. So regular people. So they don't laugh a lot, but they're just looking at sort of, it's the same way I am now. I can watch a comic and even if not killing, I almost don't hear it. I just go, ooh, that was a good one. Ooh, like I like it. Who cares if they like it? I was like, I think that's good and well written or something about it. You can tell, like, name that tune in 2 jokes. You go, I think this guy's got some game.
Yes.
And so you know how it is. So at a certain point, that, but at that point I didn't. But luckily some of the jokes, they kind of liked how I put them together. And that really got me in as a writer that was not ready to be a writer with my legal pad.
Would you have liked to have been a cast member, Carol? Did you ever think of that or audition for?
I think, well, the weird year, it was like, I don't know that I want to be a part of.
Well, what do you say?
Just throw yourself in the fire at the end.
But, I feel like that year I had one foot in and one foot out because I really wanted to concentrate on my stand-up. So, I don't think I just on the weekend, weeks off, I'd be doing sets and all that. So, certainly maybe if I had been on a more successful year, I would have dreamt about it. But do you ever
feel weird about taking a stand-up bit and putting it into a sketch? You feel like you're kind of wasting it and it's a selfish decision to go, do I try to get this on there and then I can never use it again, but it would help here?
Yeah, I didn't really have that fear because as you boys know, you got to get stuff on or it's a very bad feeling there,
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah. I'm not getting things on.
To say the
and
least.
People start ignoring you and it's like, oh no, they go, you're not even a formidable opponent here. You're just, you want to get on. So it's, of course, goes into the show if it can.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So I always felt like if I had to take for my act, dig away. Because if it keeps you alive at the show.
100%.
Yeah.
That's so crazy, but people don't think of that. But it is a weird thing goes through your head. You're like, because you're running out of ideas quickly.
Yeah.
Every host looks the same, and you're like, wait, I gotta I got this guy. And the next week it's Corbin Burnson. And then it's, I think I had
Corbin Burnson was there when I did it.
Yeah, he was. I think he was an overlapping
great
one.
Guy. I think he was the third host. Yeah, right.
Yeah. And funny.
And I just, sorry, I'm show dropping the Oscars a couple of times.
Please do.
John Lithgow was presenting this year, and I saw him. The writers hanging out in the green room, and I saw him, and I said, "You guest hosted the year that I wrote on SNL," and he was like, "Oh, he was very sweet. He was like, "Oh, you must have been a young child when you worked there." I said, "Yes, of course, child labor." But no, I told him that he was such a great host. He learned every writer's name that week, and he was incredible. And he remembered the sketch that we had written for him.
That got on.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So he was amazing and still is.
Did you ever? So what other? Can you tell us about the Oscars? You were at the Oscars.
I wrote on them.
Yeah, I wrote on the Oscars.
And you wrote. So Conan's team brought you in, or whatever. Or
how does it work?
Team, and then this is my 11th time. I was part.
Is there writers that come with the show?
You wrote a lot for the Oscars over the years. Yeah.
Are you baked in, and then Conan can bring some extra people? Is that how it works?
No, Conan has his own team of people. And then there's a show team that I'm part of.
Okay.
I don't know if you guys know this guy, John Max. He's the head writer of many, many great. He's the guy to go to for your award shows. And and then
is Valanche in there?
No Bruce Valanche, but it's a good group and it's fun. You guys know it's fun writing.
Of course.
Jokes.
Well, who's the greatest host that you've written for? Did you write for Billy?
Yes, I wrote for Billy a couple times. Billy's great. I'm going to say on this podcast, they've all been great.
Oh.
I loved Billy's Broadway songs about the current movies.
I do like that too.
Nora, she's annoying. Nora, I'm a wicked man. It's so. But Billy was just great host.
Yeah. I don't know if he was the first one to go into the movies and be like they'd use the actors of the real movie. He'd be inside of them.
Yeah, he was in an airplane.
That was funny as shit. Yeah.
I love those. Yeah. Well, Troy Miller used to direct.
Oh right. Yeah.
And I loved Conan's Substance parody. How funny was that?
That was because for people who haven't seen the movie, he crawled out of in the movie. Demi Moore sort of becomes a walking corpse or like a monster. Anyway, he climbed out of her backside. I mean, to start the 119th Oscar show, his head is. I mean, it was definitely catching. It was like, okay, we got something different here. Yeah.
But even I loved his musical number was a lot like. It reminded me of the great Billy stuff too, like that.
I thought he did great.
I thought for Conan, it was a little edgier than normal for him to say, like, it's halftime. Usually Kendrick would be calling Drake a pedophile. I'm like, a pedophile joke is kind of a lot for the Oscars and Conan. I was fine with it, but I thought, oh, good. At least he's out of the box a little bit.
Yeah. It was, look, funny is funny, but yeah. I agree that
I'm just surprised sometimes they tamp down a few things at different shows. They go, I don't know if that's what we do here, that kind of thing. But at least they're saying, hey, it's getting harder and harder to get people watched. Let's just go crazy. Some of these things pay off these days. Like, get out there and shake it up.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. It's fun to have more free reign. It's hard to get jokes killed. It's like, come on.
So just so the people familiarize, so you wrote 12 times for the Oscars. You wrote for Seinfeld. I mean, can we talk about that a little? Has Jerry changed? We know him pretty well. We had him on the podcast.
Yes, I heard it. It was great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Jerry, he is a great guy. He made all my dreams come true a couple of weeks ago because I was in New York and as you can see, I'm a big Beatles fan. I have.
Don't get me started.
Did you go to the Bowery or something?
Yes.
Oh, wow, wow. How great.
Yeah. And not only did I go with him to see McCartney at the Bowery Ballroom, but afterwards there was a little after party and he introduced me to him.
Ooh, that's as good as it gets.
Yeah. And he said my name. He said, "Hello, Carol." And he kissed me on the cheek.
Whoa.
He kissed you on the cheek?
Kissed me on the cheek. Yeah.
He doesn't do that too often.
That's pretty huge.
I know. Yeah.
I haven't seen it.
I know. So
you seem like a really nice lady, you know. So I gave her a pecker on the cheekies, you know, just to kind of cheer up the whole room, you know. Then David Spade came over. You know, I just gave him a fist
killed
it. Not as impressive as Carol.
Well, you guys, I have to say, would you say that, so as far as musical living legends, I'd say McCartney, there's Mick Jagger, there's a couple, but those two definitely could be the top two, or I'm sure I'm spacing on some people, but Ringo, I mean, if you're in the Beatles, you're up there, of course.
Yes.
And Mick is just a worldwide phenomenon of, legend. So who else is up there? Like it's still, because when you see Paul, you just get like shook a bit.
Yeah.
Well, I want to ask you about your introduction to the Beatles and your lifelong love affair, because we're in the same age group. And then to meet him later on. But to me, I'm sorry, there's just the Beatles, and then there's incredible bands, Zeppelin, Stones, Pink Floyd, and then, go on, Eminem. And but there's just one Beatles because there's just too much music and too much revolutionary things going on. So were you a classic, I Want to Hold Your Hand in 64, or when did I see you? Yeah.
Yes. I mean, I was lucky that...
Yes. The whole ride.
As a little girl.
As a little fetus.
Yeah.
I was introduced. No. I have an older sister who's 5 years older and a brother who's 11 years older. So I heard their music a lot as a kid and remember the Ed Sullivan Show, them coming on, going crazy, what a happening it was. It's hard to explain to people how revolutionary their haircuts were. I mean, it was like, what are these?
Just the haircuts alone shot them up the chart.
Haircuts alone. But then I was lucky enough in 66, yes, 1966.
Oh, yeah.
My brother was home from University of Chicago, and the night of the Beatles concert, he said, because we lived on Long Island, hey, Squirt, you want to go see the Beatles? And I was like, yeah. And we drove to Shea. We got tickets that night. My sister, who had gotten tickets 6 months before, she was like 4 rows in front of us. It's like, how did this happen? And saw the Beatles at Shea State.
At Shea State. That's a legendary.
Big thing for a band, rock and roll band, to play a giant.
They have 2 PV amps.
Right.
Dana, wasn't it some shitty sound or whatever?
I think they only did 30, 35 minutes. They couldn't hear themselves. The roar of the crowd, they just couldn't,
Oh, yeah.
But
just not. Love it, though. How great. Oh, my God. What a part of history.
If you had a not famous Beatles song, like what is one of your favorites? I'll throw out some. She's Leaving Home, and I Love Her. No Reply, Hard Day's Night, I Want to Hold Your Hand, which I think that She Loves You is a masterpiece. It's like 2 minutes and 5 seconds. But are you kind of a Strawberry Fields or are you Penny Lane? You have 5 seconds.
I kind of am very wedded to their early stuff because it reminds me of the Mania and of first seeing them and all that. So like, I saw her standing there, that early stuff, but I'm also a Wings fan,
Yeah, me too.
So, and I just worked with Lawrence Juber, who was like his guitar player in Wings. So I run the gamut, with McCartney.
Did you tell McCartney you saw him at the Shea Stadium?
What'd you say?
Did you tell him you saw him?
No, I was too.
He would have probably freaked out. That he doesn't hear that every day.
Yeah, but he was talking about, they didn't. People couldn't have their phones that night at the Bowery Ball.
At Shea Stadium?
Bowery Ball. No.
I brought my landline.
2025 is calling, Spudley, okay?
I know.
But it was because and to watch the show, because we were up in this little, it maybe has like 300 people in the whole place. But to watch a concert now with people not having their phones, it was such a joy, because it's like, oh, right, people actually experience it and not wanting it for later.
Right. Yeah.
It's incredible.
Were you sitting, or was it standing room only? Was it sitting? You get to sit.
The VIPs like Jerry and his +1 were up on a balcony, on top. So we were standing, but you wanted to stand. Everybody was standing. There was no.
Well, you stand every song anyway because it's a hit, so you stand up anyway.
Yeah.
Every song's a hit, basically. Can I do a clumsy kind of forward thing? Because during the peak of the Seinfeld years, and how many seasons did you write on that show? Or
3.
Yeah. I think they were in the Rolling Stone, almost like they got so big. There's only the Beatles, but they were almost like a Beatles sitcom.
Yes.
And I'm always interested in the dynamic between Jerry and Larry, because this partnership. And so how did you get hired for that? They just already knew you, loved you. They knew you from Letterman, and you were was that an easy kind of?
Well, we really go so far back as to when I auditioned at the comic strip along with Paul Reiser and Rich Hall.
Paul Reiser.
Wow.
Yeah. Jerry was the MC, and he put us through the audition. And then when I auditioned to Catch a Rising Star, Larry David was the MC, and he put me through that audition. So I really go back to my first days at these clubs with them. But what happened with Larry and Jerry was weird, because I remember I got a call from both of them, and it was like, why are my friends calling me together? I mean, in 93, that was probably like, a conference call, like they had to, be on the same phone, but it's like, why are they calling me? And they were like, hey, do you want to write on Seinfeld? It's like, yeah. But my advantage was, and I think other writers' advantage was, they didn't want people who'd written for sitcoms before, because Larry hated all other sitcoms. So they wanted people new to the task. So I was lucky that way. So that's how I got hired.
It was such a, interesting sensibility on that show, how it was kind of just about little things. And everyone knows the soup Nazi and the puffy shirt. And it's like trying to catch the wind. It's even now with Curb Your Enthusiasm these last 15 years. It's like, what is that sensibility about? But it really pops. The cast was super likable. But there's something about the writing that is so smart and subtle and well observed. So that's just that's the best writer's room on a sitcom in history, I think. I'm not shitting on Cheers or anybody else, but I think it's got to be.
Well, as far as it worked, it just worked through the roof. And
our greatest half.
I think Cheers was more considered just a great sitcom, and Seinfeld was a little off kilter, not just a sitcom. It was like sort of a different thing going on there.
What is the thing about Seinfeld with it? What do you think made it go so huge?
In a lot of ways, it was like SNL to me, because you had to pitch your ideas to Larry and Jerry. You would go in and set a time to go in, and it was like 2 sentences kind of max, like I went in, Elaine thinks the Korean manicurists are talking about her behind her back at the nail salon, and that kind of thing. I would go, yeah, we're doing that. Yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah. And then you'd pitch other ones, and he had this habit of like rolling his shoulder and going, no. I could see that on another show now,
Does he say expand in the room? Like some ideas are a little more than that. Like he'll go, I like it so far. What else is on there? Or just go write it.
Yeah, he would be like, if he liked something like that, or like Elaine thinks there are skinny mirrors at Barney's. He would go, yeah, I love that. But, come back with like a George, a Jerry, and Kramer story, that kind of thing. But it was the same thing. Like if you pitched ideas and it was a lot of, no, I don't know, you sort of started to get anxious about it. But when he liked something, he was so effusive about it, it lifted you to go off and do it.
Right. Exciting.
I do think, and let's go back to the Beatles here.
I'd love to.
What made the show great was the two of their sensibilities together. I always call it kind of like Lennon and McCartney, Jerry, the more kind of pop sensibility, friendly stand-up. Right. And McCartney. Larry being more the Lennon, the curmudgeon, having the edge, and that together it made it lightning in a bottle.
Yeah, for sure.
That's interesting. That makes sense to me. Yeah.
And even working on Curb, I know Larry so well from Seinfeld that it was the same thing at Curb. You'd go in and pitch ideas and he would love them or not like them. But when he loved something, he always, like, I remember the first time I pitched him Curb ideas, I said, when you are with regular people, and by regular people, I mean not comedians, and you make a joke and one of them goes, but-bum. That's how you want to strangle them. The equivalent of saying the N-word,
Yeah.
And he was like, he loved that, so when he loves something and you're on a good roll, you can.
For sure. How fun.
Yeah.
You wrote on so many though. I've been looking at, you did Modern Family, also Hacks, right?
Yes, Hacks just won an Emmy.
Hacks is a big deal, of course.
Yeah.
I think I saw Hannah at that party the other night. I don't know her, but I think I saw her walk by. Is she possibly taller than I would think? She seemed like, I thought she was tiny.
And isn't it amazing that she's Lorraine Newman's daughter?
Yeah.
I did not, I didn't even put that together for so long.
Yeah. And sometimes when she delivers lines, it's like, I totally.
Oh, yeah. Love Lorraine. I saw Lorraine at the thing.
Oh,
the 50th, yeah.
Yeah. Well, Dana, were you there?
No, I had the flu.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
so I missed it, but I've already thought about just what I'm going to do on the 60th.
Yeah.
And it's going to be great.
I thought about the 100th, what I'm going to do.
Keep it a little quiet.
Keep it real on the.
Don't start getting curious, Leaf.
When people say "ba-dum bump," it's like cutting your balls off. It's such a weird move to say this is a bad joke, you're stupid, and then they look cool or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's all weird vibe.
And he loves all that small stuff. Like he loved, I had a pitch about, when you pitch something to TV people, execs, and they go, I don't love it. I don't like it. It's like, nah, I don't love it. And, that's the kind of thing he sparks to, like, immediately.
I felt like a story. When that's in the ether, now when I'm out and there's a situation, I almost think of Curb. I was out somewhere, and this might even be an episode, but I said bye to everyone. It took me forever to get out to the front and say bye. And then I forgot my keys inside, and I go, I'm not going back in. I cannot go through there again. And just that awkwardness of like, I just left, but they think I'm coming in I ditched them or something. And so it just made me think that's one of those weird things that makes you think of that show. You go, I could picture him in some awkward situation. But every episode I watch, I think, oh, this is such a good little weird curveball, like just everyday thing, but they make a whole meal out of it.
Yeah, when you see stuff like that, like the puffy corduroy pants, looks like he's excited. Okay, we'll build a whole episode around that. And you go, it's so simple. It's so funny. Everybody knows what he's talking about. But
that story, he would have totally made something about that. Totally.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Have you talked about the SNL 50th, like ad nauseum, Spade, or?
Well, not really. I mean, it's funner with people that have been there because we talked a little bit about it, but what is your experience of it? You can say anything you want.
Oh, well, I wanted to know, I was only there for the concert, so I didn't see.
What did you think of the concert?
Concert was amazing.
Yeah.
Even with my shitty seats, it was amazing.
I think everyone I talked to had shittier seats than they thought they were going to have.
Yeah. I was like, maybe I'd have a better view at home.
I said, Lovitz, were you at the American Girl store for that too? He goes, no, I was at Banana Republic. That was very close to Radio City.
Jealous.
Yeah, no, the 50th was a blast to just goof around, but the weekly events of that was that night, what you went to, which was, I think, more fun than people thought, and then the next night there was like a little toast thing, and then the next night was the show. So I did get a lot of it. That's why I wasn't at the party forever the night of the show, because I think it was a Sunday, and also I just done everything with everybody all week, and I thought, there's a 3-story party. I don't think I could do it that long.
Yeah.
Did you go to that thing or did you skip it all?
Well, the next night, the Saturday night was the Writers Guild Awards.
Okay.
And we won for Hacks.
Oh.
Hacks never, because don't they win kind of everything? I mean, they win a lot
of stuff.
Well, I'll say this past season we sure did.
Yeah.
Where's your hardware? You got a hardware back there somewhere? I mean,
yeah, you should throw it right up there in that cabinet.
I do have an Emmy, but it's in the other room. But I
think it needs to be on camera. Also, is it interesting? Go from SNL, you go to Seinfeld, and you're like, everywhere feels like it just couldn't be as good. Then you get on a show like Hacks, it's a great show, and you go, okay, that feels good. Modern Family's a great show.
Yeah, no, it's
a good streak.
Huh. So when shows are really good,
what's the common denominator?
There's one common denominator, but I'm not. Let me just think.
I wonder what it is. What would it be?
Starts at Carol King. No. But anyway, I mean, you must be proud of. I mean, it is pretty cool how many great shows you've worked on. So clearly, you're a valuable commodity, and I would like to negotiate whatever your next deal is. Personally, I'm not going to push.
You guys know as well as I do, to be in a room with other funny people is just, it's just the greatest. I mean, as much as I love stand-up, and I saw you recently, Spade, at
That's right.
There's nothing better to me than being in a room with funny people. It's just the greatest thing. It's like, I always think it's like, you go to a foreign country and say you're there for like a month, like Italy, and, everybody's speaking Italian and nobody speaks English. And then like an American comes in, and you're like, oh my God, and you just bond with this person. To me, that's like with any comedian, there's always this kind of just instant bond. And yeah.
I'm always happy if I'm at some event, then I see a comedian or a comedian I know, and that we're just going to look at it all differently and try to
just clown on everything going on. That was the same thing. I went to some Oscar thing the other night and zip right to the comedians and then just sort of make fun of the whole situation.
Exactly.
It's the only comfortable spot.
But that's why I like sketches, because I was a stand-up and then I had never done sketch comedy. So then it was like, oh, you say that, I say this, we're working together.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, you get funnier if you're in a writer's room and people are starting to riff. Your brain gets kind of associative into this, everything's funny. Or how about this thing? Oh, how about this? So I think I totally relate to that. If someone wanted to see, I said, Carol Leifer's a great stand-up. What would you want them to look at?
I would say probably
some of your 25 Lettermans or special
I don't
box set.
You know what? I really have a great affection for my first Letterman, which was in 1982.
Ooh.
Just because your first time, like, oh my God, I'm on TV and people are seeing this and what I dreamed about. To me, that's like my most precious kind of memory because it was the first.
Yeah.
You
to
never
me,
have
it was Fernwood Tonight. And when I came out, and so I know that was. Does anyone remember Fernwood Tonight?
I
Martin
do.
Mull and
funny it is.
Yeah, kind of a parody of a talk show.
Yeah.
Did you ever work with Wendy Liebman?
Yeah, this is like the perfect setup. I'm working with Wendy Liebman on March 20th at Comedy and Magic Club.
Oh, Comedy Magic, how great.
Yes, also with the great Kathy Ladman. So 3 funny ladies all together.
Yeah.
I see Wendy. Are you
She's great.
Publicizing it as 3 funny ladies or no? Or just it's a comedy show?
I think they're calling it the Ladies of Laughter.
Oh, the ladies of the night.
Dave and I go out as the pipsqueaks of funniness.
The pipsqueaks twinsies.
2 little pixies with a dream.
We just did a corporate together. It was pretty fun. We never done one. It was pretty fun.
Right? Yeah. How much time did you have to do?
Well, Dana
kind of tinkered with that.
This is inside baseball, but we kind of like as a stand-up. Well, I love being out there with a friend just riffing. So I said to the guy who's in charge, I said, because they wanted 45 each, and it's hours in a ballroom, all that. And I said, how about we do 30 each or 25 to 30, and then we come out together and just sort of talk to the audience and they'll yell stuff out. And he goes, you would do that? Yeah, I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm not going to try to redo the deal. But we will come out without a script or our act, and they're yelling out Garth or Tommy Boy, and we have shit.
It's a little chaotic, but because we threw it at them late, if we could have had a microphone up there or something, but it's just fun because they also want to see a picture of us together or so, whatever. We're out together, and it made it more fun for us too.
That must have been a great gig.
Yeah, it was super fun. They'd never had comedy, and they were like, "Oh, this is great." So,
the sound was good. It's really important, The
sound is great. That is important. You don't hear muffled jokes.
I don't go to sound checks, but Jay Farrell played the night before some casino in West Virginia. I go, "They're gonna need a sound check." How was the sound for Jay Farrell? Oh, it was great. He loved it. So then I go out. First thing I hear is a huge slap back. Hello. I can't stop the show and do a sound check, so it's difficult.
You think they do a show every night. You think, I think they know what they're doing, and then you go, oh, they don't. It's
Can I tell you a great story about Joan Rivers with that kind of stuff?
Yes,
we would love it.
All right. So I had a corporate gig in New York when I was coming up. And they had booked Joan Rivers to just open the show and introduce me and leave. So I get there, before her, obviously. And, like you guys, you don't travel with your agent or manager for these kinds of things. So I show up and I see that there's no spotlight. So I say to the guy, the tech guy, I'm the comedian. I see you have a mic, but you don't have a spotlight. And he looks at me like, oh, sorry, we don't have your spotlight share. I'm some diva. It's like, people need to see me. In the dark, and he just like blew me off. It was so brilliant. So then Joan Rivers gets there. She says hello to me. And she goes, where's the spotlight? And I go, I know. So, and the tech guy was like hanging his head in shame. She literally went on stage and she was like, she did her bit, cue you doing your Joan Rivers impression. But she goes, listen, I'm going to bring on the next act, but you be very nice to her, all of you, because there's no spotlight and it's very unprofessional. And it was amazing. I mean, I love you, Joan Rivers. May you rest in peace.
We've all had these situations. I was in a club once and I asked them to turn up the mic for the second show because I couldn't, and they just turned it down. I mean, it's like just aggression and anger. Sometimes the club owner is a frustrated stand-up and kind of hates you. It's like, so we turned it down.
You can't get laughs out there. We're like, oh, I don't think they can hear me. Oh, is that why? And I'm like, yeah, that is why they can't hear me. People are yelling, I can't hear you.
Did you like the clubs on touring or going on the road, or did you just do it? Or, were you in condos with other guys and ventriloquists?
Yeah. The comedy condo was the worst experience of my life ever. I did a gig. It was in Phoenix. It was a comedy condo. I was doing it with my friend Sue Kalinsky. We get there and we go to this disgusting comedy condo. And there's, the other guy there and like,
disgusting.
There's here if you want to go, whatever. So about 7:00, Sue and I get ready. We're getting ready to go to the gig. And we yell up to the guy, well, it's, we're an hour away from showtime. If you want to come down now, we're going. And the guy comes down. He's like, oh, I'm not a comic. I just live here.
Oh, my God. Never heard of that.
Condo, yeah. Had just one of their friends living in one of the rooms. I mean, if you don't call 911 then, I really don't know what.
Just
oh my God.
For people so you go to these cities and instead of putting you in a hotel, they'd have a comedy condo. And there was the main room or the headroom. And if the
headliner,
for the best place with its own bathroom. If you come too late, the ventriloquist is in there with Chuck Wood. You can't look at his puppet.
Wood.
Don't even look at Chuck Wood. Don't even David Strassman, I think. No, I'm kidding. But
openers get the couch sometimes.
They're a unique breed. It's not a joke. That is definitely like that Anthony Hopkins movie. Chuck Wood was real. You must have worked with a lot of.
Before it gets too late, fellas, can I promote my new book?
Yes, let's do it now. We're wrapping up.
Oh my God, we should. We'll put it in the intro too.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It's how to write a funny speech for a wedding, bar mitzvah, graduation, and every other event you didn't want to go to in the first place.
That's a good title.
So
come on, it's gonna fly the show.
That's a good title. I like it.
So that is literally instructive and also humorous, but actually trying to help people with that process.
Okay. Because
say the title again.
How to write a funny speech for a wedding, bar mitzvah, graduation, and every other event you didn't want to go to in the first place.
Okay, I like it, and I want to ask you a question. So, has no one written this book? Because I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, no one has. I wrote it with my comedy writer friend Rick Mitchell, and no comedy writers have written a book like this. A lot of stiffs, from the corporate headquarters, or whatever, have written it, but no,
not funny people.
Yeah. Right, we're tired of going to events where someone just stinks up the room with their horrible speech, and we felt like we could give them some help.
Well, that's the number one fear, right? It's public speaking, or it's way up there. So
yes, and most comedians' greatest fear is not speaking in front of them.
How sad.
And obviously, I just want to. If people want to get this book, you just go on Amazon. It'll be on that.
Yeah, it's there. Amazon. You can just
click a few buttons. Yeah.
And if you don't remember the title, you can say Carol Leifer book.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Carol Leifer book.
Very easy. Oh, I wanted to ask you, Spade, because when I saw you, I loved your bit about Amber Alerts.
Yeah. I got an Amber Alert, I think, that day. That was new. Got an Amber Alert, Dana, and I just want to know how much investigation I'm supposed to be in charge of. What is my job here? What are my duties? If the kid isn't laying on my dashboard,
that's it.
I feel like the search is over. It's a cold case.
That crushed it the day.
Oh, yeah, I did it the other night. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's new. Thank God. Because I got one that day.
You were killing at that point. I just said to the guy, I go, can we get him off now? I mean, I think he's over his
Give
time.
him the light. Yeah.
Can we just, is it okay to give him a light? I mean, I don't want to push, but yeah, because you were killing so hard.
Danny goes, actually, I got a light. I'm going to run in the back row.
You always want to sabotage your friend if you can.
God, there's guys at the Comedy Store. They get the light and it means now start your act. Because I'm like wrapping up. And they're like, what else is going on? I'm like, there's no, what else is going on? You're doing your last bit and getting off. Not like,
what else is going on?
Let's go into the crowd. Yeah, what else? I'm like, you're done. That should be a special. What else is going on?
What else is going on?
Sounds like, that's a good special.
That is the best title.
What else is going on? All right, Carol, thank you very much. Thanks for being here.
Congratulations on your career, your book. Nice to see you. You're always, she's one of the most likable people that, in the scene. Mm-hmm. I think you have that reputation, but
yeah,
I'm always happy to see you. And you're very kind. I'm just going to say it.
I just love you guys. You're both so incredibly talented, and I enjoy your talent.
This has been a presentation of Odyssey. Please follow, subscribe, leave a like, a review, all the stuff, smash that button, whatever it is, wherever you get your podcasts. Fly on the Wall is executive produced by Dana Carvey and David Spade, Jenna Weiss-Berman of Odyssey, and Heather Santoro. The show's lead producer is Greg Holtzman.